All right, let's take a look at how to solve a few types of two-step equation word problems. So the first problem we're going to take a look at is 331 students went on a field trip. 6 buses were filled and 7 students traveled in cars. How many students were in each bus? Okay, so to solve a word problem, I know most students aren't very fond of word problems, and I understand that. Best piece of advice is to get rid of stuff that doesn't really matter. Okay, so for that, there's really not too much here that doesn't matter. Since it is such a short word problem, everything kind of does matter. So the next best thing is to take a look at what it gives us. It says that there were 331 students. Okay, it says that they took 6 buses, they were filled, and it says 7 students traveled in cars. And then the next thing is, what does it want to know, right? It wants to know how many students were in each bus. Okay, so I know that 331 students traveled to a trip. They took a trip, they're going somewhere. I know that 331 students went somewhere. I know that some went on buses. And I know that some traveled in cars. So I know that buses and cars are how they got there, right? So these two things transported this many students. So 331 students fit inside of these 2 types of vehicles, right? So now the thing is how many students were in the buses, right? We need to know this. So I know that 331 students traveled in 6 buses, right? So I have 6 of these. 6 buses. I also know that 7 students traveled in cars. Now, I can't just write plus 7C because that would mean that they took 7 cars, right? That's not what they're saying. They're saying that 7 kids got into a car, okay? So we have the 6 buses plus the 7 kids in a car. So now we have an equation that we can solve to find out how many students were in each bus, right? So now we're going to solve for B by subtracting 7 from both sides. That's going to cancel out. I have 324 equals 6B, right? So now what I'm going to do is solve both sides for B by dividing, or solve the equation for B by dividing both sides by 6. And I get B equals 54. So there were 54 students on each bus. And again, what we did to solve this is we looked at what we had, we picked out the important things. There were 331 students traveling by bus and by car. There were 6 buses and 7 kids rode in a car. So we created an equation with what we were given, and then we solved the equation for the variable, which was B, which represented the number of students in each bus. And we got 54 kids per bus. Let's look at that second example. It says Aaliyah had $24 to spend on 7 pencils. After buying them, she had $10. How much did each pencil cost? Okay. So we know a few things. She had $24. She spent spent some of the money on 7 pencils, and after that she had $10. Right? So after that she had $10. What we want to know is how much did each pencil cost? Right? So I know that originally she had $24. She bought 7 pencils and now she has $10. Okay, so you could set this up a couple different ways. We can start with the 24. She had $24, and then she bought 7 pencils, and now she has $10 left. So I know that she has $10 now, and she bought 7 pencils. So the cost of the 7 pencils plus the $10 she has left over should get me back to $24. Okay, that's again the cost of the 7 pencils plus the $10 she has left should get me back to $24. Another way I could look at it is I could say she had $24 and then she bought 7 pencils, meaning she gave money away, so she's subtracting the cost of the 7 pencils, and now she has $10. So either way, I should be able to solve for the price of a pencil, right? I should be able to solve for P. On this one here, I have to get P by itself by first getting rid of this 10. I need to move the 10 over to the left side. I'm going to do that by subtracting 10 from both sides. So I have 14 equals 7P, because the 10 here would cancel out. And now I need to get P by itself by dividing both sides by 7. I get P equals 2. Okay? So the price of a pencil would be $2. Now let's just go ahead and make sure that our other equation is set up correct and that we also get 2 for the price of a pencil. So to solve this, I have 24 minus 7P equals 10. My goal is still to get P by itself, so I have to look at what's on the same side as P. I have the 24 and the negative 7. I want to get rid of the 24 first because it's farthest away from P. It's not right next to P, it's farthest away, so I'm going to get rid of it first. I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. These are going to cancel, and I have negative 7P equals negative 14. Again, if you're not a big fan of negative numbers, please use a calculator to make sure that you don't mess up your signs. Next, I still have to get P by itself, so I'm going to subtract negative 7 from both sides. Or not subtract, I'm sorry, divide negative 7. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 7. Right? And then, so these are going to cancel, and I have P equals negative 14 divided by negative 7 is going to give me a positive 2. So again, I know that the price of a pencil is $2, regardless of how you set it up. Whether you said she originally had $24 and the price of the 7 pencils plus the $10 should equal back up to that, or she had $24, she's putting money away or giving money away to buy those 7 pencils and she's left with $10. So either way you set up that equation, you should get the same answer when you solve, and you should get the price of each pencil was $2.